at my old place, we didn't have to. It was just
Yeah.
a central heating system. It was, what is it called? The like radiator heating. So it's all.
Interesting.
It was actually great.
you-
I love radiator heating because it's super like it's moist air, so
Yeah.
it is super warm and like it's the kind of heat that when you like. I remember getting home from work at my old apartment and it would just my bones would be warm. Whereas here it's like
Yeah.
central AC and central heat. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's
I've
not.
never lived in a place where there's been radiator heating.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, you have.
it's good.
The dorms were.
Okay, that's fair. Yes. I didn't, but I had no control over that.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, true. How warm did they keep the dorms? I'd never even like considered the fact that we couldn't control the heat
I
in our
remember-
dorms.
Wilson.
Oh, it's
Winter
kinda
it was
warm.
warm enough.
Wilson was hot as hell. I remember having to
Yeah.
we always had to keep the window open because literally all the heat. Or I was on 6th floor, right? So
Yeah,
all
it
the
would
heat
rise.
would rise up, and even in the wintertime, summertime is worse, but wintertime especially was bad too because they had the heat on, and we had to keep
Yeah.
our door open almost all the time. Sorry, our window open almost all the time just to keep the heat out because
Yeah.
it was like 80
Interesting.
degrees plus, and
I never had too many issues in where I lived in the dorms. So
Yeah, like I never remember it being like, oh, I'm way too cold or I'm way too hot. Usually, it was always very good. But I can always deal with a little bit of extra heat. So when the heat was on, I think they were blasting it kind of. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool, great.
And when we were together in Shaw, when we were living together, that we were on ground floor, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like we
that
had to
wasn't-
deal with that.
Yeah, that was not a bit.
The only thing we had to deal with that was a pain in the ass for the stink bugs that would sometimes come in because you'd get all the
Yeah.
bugs.
You would get. We'd
Ooh,
be
that
like in the
sounds
basement.
terrible.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
below the ground in Shaw. In our
I never had
Shaw.
any issues with bugs.
Yeah, you were so high
Because
up.
you're 12th floor, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penthouse suite.
Always above the 8th floor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, stink bugs
I
were.
am just was.
I was just gonna say stink bugs were all over the frat house. That was like the worst stink bug experience I've had.
That sounds.
It was really bad. So I mean, you know, they weren't like crawling on me at night, but I did like 3 of them a day. It felt like maybe that's in hyperbole, but that's what I remember. It was like 3 of them a day. Pick them up, crush it in the garbage. Find another one. If I looked hard enough, I would always find a couple just chilling somewhere. Sucked.
I lost an Allen wrench in your frat house room.
Do you really?
I never got it back. Yeah.
I don't know where it is. It's long gone now. I don't think they had the house.
It's not.
So, yeah,
I just have an Allen wrench set, and there's one missing.
yeah, nice.
I'm also doing like I'm starting to apartment search again,
Yeah,
and I'm excited because I'm thinking I'm gonna like my next place a lot better than I'm gonna like my current place. Because right now I'm paying too much for what I'm getting, but if I pay slightly more, I get way more.
you'll get
Yeah,
an
I saw
like,
that place. It looks
representative.
awesome.
Which place?
The one that you sent one.
You
to
sent
the
us
group.
one place.
So that's one place I'm looking at, and there's a couple other places I'm gonna go check out. But yeah, I mean that one place, the first place that I checked out is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean the amenities are sick, building's clean. It's like a nice place, and location's really good.
Is it better
Cool.
than location than where you're at right now?
Oh, way better. Well,
Besides the climbing gym?
I think every location has a pro and con, right? Right now, I can walk to my gym, which is a huge pro. However, at this other place, I would be able to walk to a grocery store and like a Target and just some other cool little shops and stuff
That's
like
cool.
that.
Mm-hmm.
A brewery, if I wanted to.
Okay.
That's nice.
Can't do that at my current place. I can't walk anywhere but the gym at my current place.
Yeah.
So I'd swap, be able to walk everywhere else to just drive to the gym. And I did the math. I'd also be closer to work as well at the new place. And I did the math. I've been doing a lot of spreadsheet math recently.
Sounds like you.
Yeah, so I have the one spreadsheet that I made to calculate gas usage for, say, a month. And it would be slightly less at this new place, even with me driving to the gym 3 days a week.
Okay, cool.
So thinking about it. But I also made another spreadsheet because I've had one for a while. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how you guys do finances, right? Mm-hmm. I do mine in several different ways, but one of the ways I do it is I have like a paycheck, income, everything calculator that I built,
Yeah.
and I improved it recently because there was a couple things that were odd about it. Mm-hmm. But over the last like week, I've added like everything I could need. So I can plug in everything I get from say a paycheck or an estimated paycheck, and then I'm like, it all filters up and it has options like toggle options.
Wow.
In some
Is this
cells.
all in Google Sheets too?
I made this in like Numbers, the the Mac version, which is not good. Honestly, I'd rather be using Excel, but I don't want to pay for it. And I don't want to have Google like host all my spreadsheets on Google. So
Yeah. That's a good topic. I do everything on Excel as well. Or not Excel, Google Sheets. I do everything off Google Sheets. It's a really simple budget calculator, but I just have like it's just all the expenses plus like my 401k, all that stuff. And then it's like I have like multiple saving pools. It's like super simple. But I just like have target 401k contribution, do that, split it up, build off my budget for food and entertainment off that, and kind of work with that. I like that better. There's a couple like automatic ones where it's like download this app or the bank's app, and it'll just do it automatically for you as far as like categorizing everything. But I like doing it myself because it actually lets me see. I have to like physically see what I spent on things and remind myself that dinner was $65. Yeah. Oof. Like, if that was a bad, it teaches me not to go out to eat as much, blah, 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 so.
I also have like, so that's like for like planning, I guess, but for like day to day or month to month stuff, I have an app that I use that like I pay for, right? It's a subscription app only.
Yeah.
But it's very much no frills, everything that I need to kind of understand, what I'm spending and the budgeting and behind that and whatnot. Which I've been happy with using that. I've used that for like past 2 years now. 2-3 years. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
But it's nice, specifically about apartments. I can plug like an apartment price into my spreadsheet, and I'd be like, "Oh, that would not be affordable.
This is not good."
Or
sacrifice.
I can work with that.
I'll just sacrifice this, and this, and yeah. My apartment spreadsheet was starting to get pretty wicked. Like it wasn't like a price apartment spreadsheet, but it was when I was searching. I had like 30 different apartments and ranking systems and pros, cons. And it was great because I had all of for whatever reason, maybe I'm a boomer in this aspect, but I've never hyperlinked things in Excel before, really. I don't usually put links, but I was I was going wicked with it. I was like, I had the name of the apartment and then the location. Then I'd hyperlink the location in Google Maps and hyperlink the apartment to like the homepage and stuff, which is like, it's a right click and a selector, right? It's not hard to do, but I was like, feels so much more optimized when I can just say, oh yeah, this is here. It's like, it helped me pick a spot really easily doing that stuff.
I'm going to tour an apartment next Saturday, which is one that I had seen like, well, not during my original search like a year ago, but I thought, I can't afford that. When actually I can. I even could have probably if I had found the right availability was there. But it's so cool. It's like this. It looks like a Victorian era.
Oh, it looks like an older place.
All the places that you can like lounge in are just like the coolest chairs. I'll send you guys a link.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I think
you
liked
remember
those
mentioning
places.
this one.
Yeah. I don't think
mentioned it
he's
before.
mentioned this one yet either. but
I think you've mentioned it before when you were
This one?
doing the original search. The apartment you're talking
I
about.
may have.
Yeah. But
It just looks cool. Like it's like a cool looking place. And I would definitely live there. Well, I'll find out when I I'll find out when I actually do the tour.
What were you doing, Mike?
They have one of those stupid rock climbing circle wall things.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never needed to budget really. I'm pretty good about saving, and like I just usually do it in my head. I'm like, okay, this is how much I can really afford per month in expenses. This is, and then give me enough leeway for 401k slash, IRA stuff, putting away that, and then my stuff. I don't know. I
Yeah.
try not to spend as much money. The only time I
Yeah.
do is like when I go on a trip, and it's like, oh, I'm blowing my load for like 3 months worth of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's yeah. I know when you when you don't have the rent, it's not as hard of a thing either. I know when I lived in my old place and my rent was so low compared to now, I was like, I didn't really even I lost track of my budgeting for a couple months just because I was like, I don't
When I
really
was
care.
in when I was in my old apartment, like I kind of needed to keep track of budgeting, but I never went above my means. I always kept adding stuff, adding money.
Yeah. I feel like I've been ingrained, not going out, try not to go out to eat as much, don't spend a ton of money on booze. I don't know. I've tried to instill a reference so I know if I spend a lot of money one night, I'm like, that was bad. But
Yeah.
that's once in a week thing, so it's okay.
I mean, I naturally don't spend too much. But I also have a tendency to say if I'll leave the house. I always say I'll leave the house and spend over $100, when really it's just because I'll go to a record store and
You just kind of buy,
you
kind of let go.
But overall, I'm not
Yeah.
terrible about it, and that's also why at least I have a budget to say, okay, that's
You can
my frame of mind at least.
I feel that. I think I've said this before. Both my parents were extremely frugal. Always live above your means, and have ingrained that in me. And so I'm almost taking that to the extreme. And I always, when I look at something, right, I always put, here's a dollar value associated with any kind of event. And does this dollar value meet or exceed my expectations of what emotions it will bring, or do I want to go to this thing or something like that? And if I'm more likely going to have a good time at something, I'm like, all right, I'll hit this dollar value. So for instance, when we visited Colton, right, I was like, all right, I can't wait to see this guy. I want to go hang out with you guys, right? So I'll splurge a little bit, but for the most part, I almost.
That being said, you're the one most concerned about the cost of the flight.
Yeah. So
I think there's pros and cons to that mindset, though.
Oh, there's definitely cons. I almost have to force myself to buy things because I'm. It's almost like this weird anxiety about using money. I end up thinking of money as like a dragon hoards coins kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than, and I just end up wanting it's almost like when I play games, I tend to be the hoarder type, where I try to just accumulate things like potions and stuff, but I never actually use potions, even though I have 50 healing
90 of
potions
them.
on me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I never used a healing potion because I'm using something that's not a commodity. Right.
Right.
So it's always been it's almost like the opposite problem for me, where I need to spend money, and I always think of things in a monetary sense rather than in a, does this bring me happiness?
Does it bring me happiness?
Or
sense?
can I
Yeah.
go on an experience? Will the experience enrich my life? And I always think.
I feel
think
like
in a
I used
monetary
to
way.
do more of that, where I conserved a lot. But now I don't worry about it as much, in the sense that I just find value in the things that I buy because I find value in them. It's and it's a totally personal thing, you know.
You find
For
meaning in
example, for example, right? Something I have will work, right? I mean, it's the reason as a kid I never went shopping, and I never bought clothes, really.
Yeah.
I hated all that. And now I'm to the point where I see something and go, is that going to improve even minorly a portion of my life? Because if it will, I'll give it a shot. Like my bed sheets, I bought really nice bed sheets,
Yeah.
and I mean more, besides where I would have done normally is I go to Target
Get a,
and like, there's some bed sheets, I'll buy that.
they're the
But
color
instead-
you want, and that's all you need.
Yeah, the color I want, I'm good. But instead, I thought, even if they're not the color I want, just
Oh
'cause
yeah,
they were
there's cheap
fine,
sheets. Yeah.
But I thought, no, you know what? I'm gonna buy nice bed sheets, because they're super soft, and turns out they're awesome,
Yeah.
And that's the kind of things that has changed, at least for me, is if I think it'll improve my life in some form or fashion, then I'll do it, or at least try it.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a point where it's too much, or a break even point, or I think, well, that's absurd, I don't need that. But I have been way more open to buying things because it's a higher quality than what I'm used to, and it might bring me
Yeah.
a slightly better.
The only thing
Like,
worrisome
smart
thing,
tool.
right, on that is like, do those, like, what's that margin, right? Is because there's always this marginal increase on luxury items where it's like, all right, you can get really, really expensive bed sheets, but they're only marginally better than, your current bed sheets, and like that margin keeps, usually the more expensive things are, right?
Yeah.
That margin
it's a smaller percentage.
it's
increase.
it's a much bigger dollar margin for a much smaller actual increase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
quality.
and I mean, and that's exactly right, and that's why it's different for every person. But for me, I think the margin is, or can be, higher in some things than others, and for other people, it's like does it break the bank? No. Am I gonna have? I'm gonna keep using these bed sheets as an example. But
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna have these things for years. In terms of the cost, the initial capital sink versus the longevity of the product, I mean, it's almost nothing as in compared to just buying regular sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just slightly more for the same, if not more, amount of time. So in the end, the break even is probably the same.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need like a case study too. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't know if I really want bed sheets, but like the idea sounds good. So then you just
Yeah.
splurge, and then it's like you figure out, was it worth it? Yes or no? And then, okay,
You're
fine.
like, yeah.
Sure, yeah, or maybe
In
not.
my case, it was.
Yeah, yeah. Like I do that all the time. I feel like there's these new things where it's like, now I can spend the extra dollar amount to get this extra thing to see if I want it. And I'm like, okay, let's make it a case study. And like spend the extra money, see if it's worth it, and then make my decision to do it again in the future or not. One of the things,
And I don't think I'm arguing to spend more than your means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that at the core of my argument is, if you have the means,
just
then you can do more things than you could before.
right.
And the argument is, why not if you can, I guess.
Yeah, try it out. I mean,
If you
bed
can't,
sheets.
that's everyone's been there,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you still don't have a desirable income, or as a kid you have no income and you can't do anything,
Or yeah,
right?
your income's like, $5
$5
for,
a week
as like
or
an
something.
allowance or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even if you had an allowance, which is more than a lot of people probably have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you always, I think everybody, well, not everybody, but people tend to grow into what they have, naturally. I think that's kind of human nature. You have the extremes, right, where the people who will spend more than they have or less than they have, but you normally expand to fill the size you have for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't know if that argument doesn't make sense. I was thinking of the thing from that Harry Potter movie, where they're catching the creature and it fits this space, the room that it's in.
Oh yeah, yeah. So do you like
Remember
put it?
what
You
I'm
have to
talking
put it in like a teacup or something like that.
You have to put it in a teapot or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've gotten to that yet or not.
Yeah. How?
It's not the main Harry Potter series. It's like a
Oh,
It's in
It's
the
the-
Fantastic Beasts.
yeah,
oh, I see.
Fantastic
Oh,
I
okay.
see.
Finder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, soups are so good. If we want to talk about soup, do you guys like soup?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
honestly, I'm not a huge soup guy.
Man,
Really?
I like
What about
soup.
chili?
Chili, I actually don't like.
Nah.
What? You guys both don't like chili? What
I
the
don't
hell's
like
wrong with
chili.
you,
Is
man?
like chili is just.
I mean, it's not that I don't like it. It's just I
Yeah.
don't prefer to eat
it
it.
might be because I just haven't had amazing chili. My mom would make it a decent amount, and I just didn't. It's like, dude, it's like beans, tomatoes, and ground beef, and it's
Yeah,
mid.
it's simple but it's so good. I think it's probably because your mom didn't spice it up. Like my mom,
maybe.
I've shit on her cooking before, but my mom makes great soups. And as a kid, we used to eat chili, and like she would make something adjacent to chicken, like a chicken tortilla soup, but without we didn't put tortilla chips in it. We just did or tortilla bits in it. We just used it was like chicken and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it was because it's super cheap and easy, and you just throw it into like a crock pot and let it like boil down to this like wonderful mass of like meatiness and like all the
see,
spices
that's-
and like throw in like cayenne pepper, right? And the
Yeah.
paprika, like
It, like-
a bunch of just deliciousness in there.
It sounds good in theory. I just never really got on board with it. I don't know. Maybe it's a consistency thing.
It's good in practice too.
It's good in practice too. I don't know. I mean, soup is delicious. You know, I'm a guy who likes bread, as I've said many times in this podcast. And soup is such a great way to interact with bread and dip your bread in soup. Do you guys do this? Am I maybe
Oh,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
weird on this? I
No,
do
it's
that
totally
all
not
the
really.
time. I think it's
What about bread bowl?
so good.
Bread bowl?
Bread bowls are good.
They,
No,
they can be all right.
that gets a little soggy, but you know, for me,
Oh no.
with this chicken tortilla soup that we're making, you make it, you get 2 pieces of buttered bread, and you put it on the side, and you dip it as needed. And the chicken tortilla soup's amazing because it's got avocado and
Yeah.
You guys have
the tortillas.
such like Midwestern meals.
This is that a Midwestern meal? The soup?
Oh, absolutely. Chili is so Midwestern.
Oh,
Soup
yeah.
is very
Well, like
Midwestern.
dipping bread in soups is like
Yeah.
such a Midwestern thing
Is
to me.
that really a Midwestern thing? I
Oh,
have no
yeah.
idea.
But
Huh.
Sean, have you ever had a bread bowl though before?
Yeah.
Dude,
You
that
said, I think you said it was fine, right? Sean, you're like, it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
dude, I don't know, clam chowder with a bread bowl. Like when I can like
Sure,
do
yeah.
anything with like
Yeah.
a lot of cream in it before. Oh my god,
I don't like clam chowder though.
that's disappointing. I don't know why I'm friends with you.
I think it's the creaminess. I don't really like creamy foods.
Yeah.
You know?
You want your basic miso udon broth and like no creaminess in that. So I kind of
Well,
consider
I just wouldn't say basic. I guess I just prefer, and I know clam chowder is savory, but I prefer savory, like clearer. I don't know how to describe it.
Simple.
It's a preference thing.
You just don't like creamy food.
Yeah.
I love
like white
creamy-
food.
Although speaking of buying things, today I bought per the recommendation of several people, I bought an air fryer.
Yes, join us.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna, because I bought one with the bucket.
Yeah,
Thing?
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm gonna keep that, because I think I like more of the toaster oven looking thing. Because you know they make air fryers.
Yeah.
You know what? Ever had a toaster oven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a toaster
Right?
oven?
They make air fryers that look like toaster ovens, but they're just air fryers.
Yeah. I don't.
And I think I'd prefer those as opposed to the basket.
They're definitely easier to keep clean. I think. Whereas the bucket is
What, the basket or the?
no the air fryer, the toaster oven looking ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've got the bucket type, and it can be get a little dirty.
And I think for what I want to make, it makes more sense to have toaster oven looking.
Well,
one.
what are you making?
But we're gonna find out. So tonight I'm gonna make some pork katsu cutlets. Try them out in there, see what happens, and then that's gonna go over curry. But I will see because I would make like katsu curry cutlets and katsudon way more if I didn't have to use all the oil and stuff to make them. 'Cause I
yeah.
hate
Right.
Yeah, the setup there, the
Using
cleanup
oil for all that.
is annoying for fried
Cleanup's
foods.
terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like $4 for and if you use the entire thing of oil, which
Yeah,
from a
it's
dollar
just- it's
cost thing
ridiculous.
is ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah.
So I figure an air fryer, and I got mine for it was 80, but discounted to I think 65
For a high end one
at
Nice.
Target. And I thought I'm like, I'll give it a shot. You know, if I don't like it, I can return it, but I'll see what it does. So
Sweet.
I will get the full
We're-
review.
Yeah, get it to us next, or like another podcast where you
next
like
episode.
justifying Sean's purchase or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I'd love to go back into this in depth because I got to be maybe convinced to get air fryer too because Christmas is coming up.
I thought you were the one of the people that told me to get an air fryer.
I don't
I
have
was
one
definitely
myself.
one of them. I was one
I
of the
think
people
Mike
who
Okay.
might be
said
the
that,
one.
yeah.
I
I'm
remember
looking
who.
into
At
getting
least a
one.
couple people have told me air fryers are pretty great.
I'm looking
so.
into getting one because they are like they even have like less oil coverage, so it's kind of healthier too. For
It's definitely
Yeah,
definitely
and
healthier.
that's part of the thing is like there's no oil
yeah,
because it's air.
it's air.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's just a convection oven, right? That's all an air fryer is. So if you have a convection oven,
Yeah.
you can do that in an actual standard oven. But like the air fryer, it's more compact, and like for apartment type living, it's great because
Yeah, you can focus it on your whatever you're making, like strips
Yeah.
of fish or whatever.
honestly,
you know,
the best thing personally is you can make really good like wings. So you just buy like standard, like
yeah, you could probably get-
either thighs or get
the
actual
tender
wings.
thing.
That's on all the
Yeah.
advertisement
It
pictures as
works,
wings.
honestly.
I'm sure
Like,
it does.
You can like
Yeah.
toss the sauce on, and I've made some pretty dang good wings from
Yeah.
just an air fryer, and
Yeah.
really cheap and easy, and compared to like B-dubs, and I can make whatever like flavor I want to.
This is just
Hmm.
my chance to call out beat up sucks. In the past like 5 years, beat ups has sucked so hard.
Really?
I thought you guys loved going there.
I did when I was a kid. Man, have you been there recently? I feel like we've talked about this before. Have you guys been to a beat ups recently? It sucks.
Not recently, no.
I'm gonna
I've
show
been
you.
to one maybe 3 times
Oh
in my
my
life.
gosh! As you guys
Oh,
know,
they skimp on sauces though. Now
Okay, yeah. Let me justify Mike's statement. I'm a Google reviewer. I've been to a couple B-dubs where I've reviewed.
Because I'm a
place.
Google reviewer.
Holy
it's like
crap.
I'm a Reddit mod.
These-
I'm a Reddit mod. I'm a Discord mod.
The sauce coverage on these wings is like you had to try to be that bad. It's like what they did.
Wow.
You know those little it's like the fast food cartons. They come in the fast food cartons, right? It's like they put the wings in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
They get their squeeze bottle of sauce. They just squeeze a little bit in there. They shake it a little bit and they give it to you. I'm like,
That's so depressing. Yeah,
It's
I remember last
complete-
time I had B-dubs. I usually get boneless because I just get it out. Right, I do takeout, and even though, all right, we have to decide on this maybe a little bit later or right after this, but I usually get boneless, and then it's just like there's like a dabble of sauce, on it. Now, the real question though is bone in
listening.
or boneless.
boom.
Where was your original story going, though? I thought you got distracted by having that as be the topic you came up with. I felt like.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It came up in my head, unfortunately. But no,
I don't care.
you don't care.
I don't care. I don't like wings in general, so I don't.
I like
I
wings.
prefer to not have them. I prefer to have something else, but
This is-
I'll eat either or if it's in front of me.
we could go all podcast on this topic without
Oh,
going
yeah.
to my original topic that I really want to get to. Should we
I
save this?
just need to know. I just need to know, Colton.
I'm a boneless guy. I like both a lot, and I have had. It depends on my mood. I'm not like I will take bone in over boneless sometimes, but most of the
Yeah.
time I'm boneless for sure.
Those look like enough sauce.
Yeah.
Dude, it sucks. No, Sean, no.
What you sent me.
No.
Now I will say there's definitely not full coverage on all of them. But
give me full coverage?
Colton, you are also like the
Yeah.
sauce guy.
Yeah.
You prefer to completely
They should be
smother it. To me,
dripping.
this is acceptable.
These
They should be dripping with sauce.
This is like spotted
that
sauce.
sounds terrible.
And
oh,
look
it's
at
delicious.
the other thing that I just can't deal with B-dubs anymore is I can get frozen wings from like Kroger and they're better quality. They are better quality. These wings sucked so hard. They were all half of it was just fried fat. Holy crap. B-dubs, what happened? It used to be so good. Rant
Yeah.
over.
Rant over.
Please inbox us and tell us why it's so bad
Please
and prove us
Yes.
wrong. Yeah, but I'm a bone-in guy, for the most part. Have we settled on this topic? Are we done? Any more thoughts on bone-in chicken sauce coverage? Any of the likes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good.
Sean just doesn't care.
Sean just
Truly
does
does
not
not
care.
care.
He's like, I'll
It's,
peace
you
out.
know-
I'll
True neutral.
wings are kind of like the worst part of a chicken.
Man,
Excuse me. What are you? Are you a breast guy?
More like usually thighs.
Thighs
Okay,
are
all right.
good,
So at
yeah.
least you have a soul.
I like chicken. Don't get
Yeah,
me
yeah.
wrong. I do like chicken.
But
I think it's one of the most versatile meats because of,
yeah, I
Because
just
it
don't.
is.
I don't get like the fascination with. I want to get like chicken breast, right? It has no flavor. It's just like. It's like okay, it's
Chicken
meat,
breast is
sweet.
just clean.
I mean, I will buy those, depending on what
It
I'm
is
making.
cheap, that's for sure.
But
But thighs, get chicken thighs, like you get like the
usually thighs are better.
oh, especially the with the skin on thighs, and you get like
Yeah,
that layer of
yeah.
like subcutaneous fat around it, and it's
no, I do. I get skinless.
boneless, skinless.
Boneless,
Boneless,
skinless
skinless.
thighs.
If I'm getting thighs, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, you don't want the if you're making like onyakadan or whatever, you don't want the skinny,
Oh, yeah.
the skin in chicken thighs.
Right,
But for a
right.
soup, like the skin would be good just because it kind of flavor enhances it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
It's like depends in my
dark meat all the way.
experience. I do like dark meat, yeah, a
I
lot.
see.
So okay, if we're done with that, I really want to intro the podcast right now before we get too far off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and go
for it.
into our original topic that I really wanted to have some time to talk about with you fellas today. So, with that, welcome to Almost a Podcast. I'm your host this week, Colton, and I'm with my two lads, Mike and Sean, per usual.
Was a
Say hello.
Don't sound so disappointed. Like,
I was trying to slow down my talking so I wasn't a rush, and I think it just it was like one of those things where I slow it down and I get like depressed and deeper as I tried to slow my voice down.
Yeah, right.
So apologies. I am quite hyped today, guys. But
oh, good. good.
the OG topic that we hinted at or we started talking about in a previous podcast, but wanted to save for a more full discussion was the concept of free time, my dudes.
Oh, okay.
Just in general, basically, we got into a little bit of a topic where we were kind of discussing like just free time, and free time, my free time, the things I do has changed dramatically now as an adult, as opposed to what I did as a kid. In general, I guess, I'm always trying to, with my free time, kind of do something useful, or I feel pressured to do something that will benefit me or grow me, if that makes sense. Whereas a kid, I didn't care. I just loved I played video games all the time. I played a lot of video games, and that was my growth. It was like I'm in taking these stories like many people would a book, or maybe who got really into movies when they were kids. But now, for me, and I want to hear what you guys think as well, when indulging in something kind of like that, when it's not really benefiting myself or helping myself grow, sometimes I feel a little bit, what would you say?
Like non-productive or
Just
you don't feel
non-productive,
like you're
guilty.
using
Yeah,
your
I feel-
time. Yeah.
Yeah, guilty that I'm not
FOMO.
using my time. Yeah, like in a good way, if that makes sense. And I just want to hear what you guys think about that, and like in general, like what do you guys do? Like, how has that changed from when you were a kid to now? And do you guys even vibe with that, feeling guilty doing something really unproductive nowadays, or am I just kind of in my own little world?
I don't. The definition of productive may be different. Your definition and my definition may be different.
Yeah,
But as a kid, I didn't. I just kind of did whatever I wanted. As long as I like had decent grades, I feel like my parents were cool with what I wanted to do.
yeah,
And so I played like a lot of video games. And really that was most of childhood. That was kind of my main source of entertainment. That and books. I read a lot of books as a kid. And then, it's honestly, and then the three kind of major changes in time usage in my life, I would say, is being a kid, and that is up until high school,
yeah,
or up until, I guess, college, then college, right?
yeah,
And then is post-college.
Yep.
And I think those are the three different stages because they are the times that my schedule changed the most.
right.
Right? up until high school, I'm doing the same thing pretty much all the time. And then in college, complete schedule change because, you can schedule classes
Yeah.
how you want. You can live on your own. Your
Lifestyle is
your own
different.
thing for meals and such.
Yeah.
And then post college, it's I'm now living on my own, and so therefore I have a completely different time schedule than I had previously in my life. And I think I was most busy in high school in terms of the least amount of free time was high school because
Really?
I was doing a ton of like extracurricular stuff. So I had I played golf on like the team. So I was in varsity golf for a couple years. And then I was doing like engineering stuff after school most days. Mm-hmm. So I'd like build and race like electronic golf carts or not golf carts, go-karts, and several other things. So I had not a ton of free time, I would say. And then in college, I had a lot of free time, right?
Yeah.
because of I don't know what I was doing, but I somehow was able to have a ton of free time. And I think that's just how I scheduled myself, or my ability to procrastinate and then still succeed
Right. Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
into play. But I had way more free time there, so I would spend all the free time hanging out with friends, or I played some games in college, and then I watched a lot of anime in college,
Right.
And like in high school, I guess, before and it started really getting into that. But then now my free time is definitely less than I've had in the previous parts of my life. But I still feel like I'm doing good in terms of work-life balance and doing things that I want to do, And while I'd say, going back to what we were originally talking about with Colton's version of productive, I probably wouldn't be very productive according to his definition.
Yeah. I understand it depends on, your definition. Because,
Yeah.
I guess in my definition, I'm not really considering like chilling out and not just doing something that, for yourself in a way. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
Chilling out and not doing anything is probably a productive use of your time if you worked a lot or you are burnt out.
Or if you value that.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
I would say like nowadays, a lot of free time is spent either. Let me define free time though,
Yeah, sure.
because to me, you could define free time as time that is not spent at work, right? But that's not true, because I have to cook and I have to, say, go to the gym, right? I don't have to.
Yeah, that's part of your free
But
time.
at least cook and like do chores, right?
Yeah,
That's
do
not
your
free time.
laundry.
That's things I need to do
And sleep, yeah.
Otherwise, my life falls apart,
Right.
right? But setting aside that, if I have free time where I think, okay, I have nothing that I need to do, that's usually either spent going to the gym, or like watching a show or something, reading, or usually the other thing that I like to do, I don't know, like then it's just kind of random other stuff.
Yeah,
It doesn't fit in a big category. Like yesterday, it's like 30 degrees right here, but in where I am at. But I went out climbing. I went out some bouldering this weekend.
That's got to be fun in almost sub-zero weather.
Yeah, it was. No, it was a sub-zero.
Yeah, sub-zero
Well,
centigrade. Yeah.
Centigrade.
Centigrade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We don't talk about Celsius. Yeah, it was above freezing, but still cold in the shade and snow on the ground. But it was a lot of fun. So and that's my free time in a nutshell, I would say.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? Like, what do you define free time, and like how has it changed?
I would
you
say
think?
I have quite a bit. My son living at a home right now. I don't have to. I share responsibilities a lot. And for me, like definitely, it's like the daily things, like okay, laundry, dishes, like cleaning up my room, how often I do the last bit of that. It depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I have quite a bit. How I define free time is more like or when you talk about like productivity or like growing myself, I do like spend a lot of time like on YouTube and like listening to like documentaries and stuff, like expanding my knowledge base.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love, that's like one of my favorite things is just, I usually go down these rabbit holes of like random knowledge, either like geopolitics or like nature science, or just it's just kind of whatever happens, and it just
Whatever
I'll
you kinda get lost into, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I really enjoy that. I love kind of expanding my mind that way, and just like absorbing knowledge. How useful that knowledge is.
It depends on the
We'll
day.
see.
I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Depends
There's definitely
the
times
hole
it's like,
you get into.
oh my gosh, this actually like really helps. I learned this 2 years ago, and now I can like actually use this in a situation. But for me, the thing that makes me feel unproductive or guilty is when I don't socialize. Like when it's like if I don't go out on a weekend or like don't do something on like a weekend, either like with family, and like this weekend I visited family because I had some people coming in from overseas, hence why I started speaking in centigrade. But if I don't like socialize in a week, or like my only socialization is through work, which I do quite a fair amount of, and that's kind of how I got a lot of my social battery is actually through work. But if I don't socialize during a week, then I usually feel guilty or unproductive, because that's part of myself that I need to grow. I feel like the most is expanding social boundaries. And like, you know, when I was much younger, I had pretty bad social anxiety, and now it's kind of flipped. Yet at the same time, I still need to, you know, push myself, and, you know, as the only child, any only childs out there will know how like socially awkward only childs can be, just because we weren't socialized with like, you know, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have like extended family that I spend a lot of time with, who are kind of like my brothers and sisters in a way, but at the same time, it's different. So
That's definitely very different from me, because I will not feel bad if I don't socialize at all during the weekends.
yeah, I kind of assumed that. So as you didn't list that at all, I'm like, is Sean gonna put like going to brewery or going out? And like, nope, not at all. I'm like, all right, that checks out.
I mean, I will do that, but that fits into the random stuff. That's not like a normal thing.
It's not like a thing that
I
you
guess.
try to target. You're not targeting like socialization.
Now, that being said, if for too many weekends in a row that happens, then I think, okay, I should go out with somebody and do something, you know?
yeah, like.
But usually by the time that happens, I've already done that, so
Yeah.
then I'm like, fine,
Well,
you know?
on the
yeah.
flip side of that, Sean, is I was thinking about this just earlier today. I really admire your ability to just go do something on your own. I've always felt somewhat uncomfortable with that, which sounds weird, but like you'll just like go camping alone. And I'm like, I would never do that. I always need I need to organize a group to do something, right? Even like going to the bar, I'm like, I don't think I really go to the bar alone. Usually it's like I'll like pick up 1 or 2 friends, we'll go to the bar and like hang out, and you know, who knows after that? But, like maybe we'll like end up like talking with a bunch of people, or it'll just be us 3 chatting, you know, talking about life kind of thing, right? You know, bar therapy.
Yeah, bar therapy.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I just feel like that's one thing I really admire, is like you can just go out and be like, I'm gonna just do this solo and go on this like weekend excursion. And no one, like, I'll sometimes meet people, but for the most part, I'm 100% okay with like I'm usually okay with like by myself, but like when I go do something like outside, like socially, I want to be with other people, so I have like kind of like this group that, like, I don't know, I just don't feel, although I usually do fairly well when I'm alone, like shit, going to the store, like just talk to random people. Shit, I was like Costco today. It's like
Why would you talk to random people at the store? This blows my mind.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's like
Very American.
Yeah, it is very American. It's actually hilarious. Kind of a side note is, you know, my uncle, his wife came and visited. They came from overseas, right? And she is from the Czech Republic, and she was like laughing at that, like, you know, I always know when I'm in America because people are either extremely like kind and generous and friendly with me, or they're like extremely rude. There's no in between. People aren't like this, like even. There's no like just like neutral. It's either
That's, I mean, different from my experience, I'll be honest.
oh really? Yeah. She was like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, this person's so nice, and then immediately like after there's like a rude moment where like someone got really pissed off by like someone like skipping a line, and like
Oh.
or like thought like someone. I think it was my uncle, who's a very fast walker, was going like got into a line in front of someone who was like slowly meandering by and like going into line, and they like got like pissed off at him. It's funny because he's also like he's huge. He's like 6'5", and but
Some guys just like,
Yeah.
hey.
yeah, it was hilarious, and how her describing that from a non-American, as American perspective, that is something that I just take for granted, especially in like the Midwest area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's true because there's probably less confrontation elsewhere, but I don't think that's a hard and fast rule. I really think it really depends wherever you are. I mean, most areas I've been, I just don't either am not involved or observe situations like that. Most people that I'm around are very even keel or just like could not considerate, but
average
nice,
citizens.
courteous.
Yeah.
Courteous, yeah,
You
polite.
know?
They're adults. Yeah.
Polite, yeah, is a big good way to say it. I don't think I've been in too many areas where, you get those, I don't know, a dash cam footage of people
Yeah,
going
the found
getting
footage.
mad and stuff, or CCTV.
I mean, I
whatever.
haven't either, but yeah, I find that anecdote funny.
Yeah. Maybe just more so.
Well-
It's like they hear people being louder in grocery stores and stuff. Your
Oh,
family
absolutely.
might. They're just like, oh, this
Yeah.
is weird. Like,
Yeah. Also, they're going into like a giant grocery store versus a tiny little like mart that you'd find in the city,
Yeah.
in a European city. So, but yeah.
I think, though, in regards to your original talking point about being able to just go off on your own and stuff, it's like, yes, I can do that, but it's not necessarily because I want to. I mean, I do want to. I take that back. I would prefer to go out with someone or a group and to share in the experience with, but it's way harder for me to say to go out to do an event like that, or like go camping and something with someone that I just barely know.
yeah.
Usually, I'd much rather prefer to go out with someone who's been a friend for a while and we can I'm comfortable with
Absolutely,
them,
but you'll still do it just solo, and that's something like for me,
Right,
it's like almost
yeah.
a barrier of entry. Is like I want to do it at least with like one or two other people. Like that's
Yeah, yeah.
I think definitely like the three people rule. Like shit, like when we're traveling together.
Yeah. It's,
like,
nice to have
great.
3 in the
Three,
group at
yeah.
least, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's. I mean, like I get it too, because it's like sometimes you just want to go out, but then I'm like of the opinion it's like, well, yeah, you'd rather have people to go out with, but also, sometimes you don't want to. You really want to go to this bar, and it's like, well, okay, I really want to go to the bar. I don't want to not go to the bar just because I don't have people. It's like you kind of make what you want of it. You just you just kind of do it alone.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that a couple times when I was on internships in different places, and it's like it's weird because you have this like weird upbringing social stigma of like when I go to a bar, I feel like I have to have someone with me, which I feel like I've tried to you try to break when you go out alone and stuff, but yeah, you don't have to. There's tons of people at the bar alone, like you can.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you make of it. I think it just feels a little weird.
I have a great example of that because for the longest time, I thought, movie theaters. Okay.
Oh.
First of all, I love movies. I love going to movie theaters just for the experience. And I would never consider just going to see a movie by myself. As a younger person,
as a youth,
yeah.
as a youth,
as a young lad.
but now it's the best thing ever.
I would
right?
totally do
I
that.
can just go. A movie comes out. I'm like, well, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I
know?
want to go see it opening day.
I could go in the morning. I can go on my own schedule, right? So it's great to wake up in the morning, go see a movie at 10:30, right? And I have the
rest of the day. Yeah, I could see that. Being
That never
fun.
happens as a kid. 'Cause I'm like, oh, I want to go at night, see the thing. Or a group of friends usually are free in the evening anyway.
Right.
But on my own time, I can just do whatever. And then it's like I go in, sit down, see the movie, walk out. There's no messing about. Not to say I wouldn't want to go to movies with people now.
but you don't have to deal with the like the logistics of, hey, let's all
Yeah.
go, and then like some of your friends
or the social stigma is gone now.
yeah,
You know.
I think that's cool. Yeah, I'm still
And I can get the best seats too, because it's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
you get the one seat,
can get the
right?
one
I
seat
book
in
it
the middle.
right exactly where I want
Yeah.
it.
Oh no, my favorite is the in a lot of theaters there's a spot right behind where like you can put a wheelchair, and that's my favorite
Yeah.
because a lot of times people don't go there with wheelchairs, and you can put your feet up on like the bar that's right behind that area.
Oh.
So obviously if someone's sitting there, I'm not putting my feet up there. That's just extremely rude. But if no one's sitting in front of me, I'm going to put my feet up on this bar, so I have like this inclined spot. With,
Dude, every movie theater I go to has a recliner seat. now.
Same.
I don't know what this bar
Same.
nonsense
Yeah,
is.
that's like
Wait,
old
what?
school. Every
What
movie
the
theater I
heck?
go to.
When's the last time you've been to a movie theater? Because like I have
like,
a full leather
it
seat
was like
recliner.
6 months ago, but also
Got like
I'm not
heated
spending.
seats.
The only place I
like-
knew it was like $25 for that. I'm sorry, $25.
Oh, that's ridiculous! I spend $12 to go to a movie
So,
theater.
yeah, I
with a
usually spend-
like a leather recliner seat. What
Oh
the
yeah.
heck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Got to find yourself an
Jeez.
Imagine.
You gotta switch movie theater chains because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a pretty small town right
See,
now. I
those-
can't really
those
find
West-
a.
that's true.
Well, those where you live, it might not have a lot of movie theaters because you're in a more rural area, right? It's like
Yeah.
you don't have all the big
Yeah.
chains with people
Yeah, there's
wanting
like
the
one
recliner
movie theater
heated
in my
seats.
town, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, you're
there's
kinda
like
locked
two.
in at
There's
that point.
there's two theaters in it, I think.
Right. So
if I wanted to, I could even get like the seats that like respond and vibrate to
Oh,
the,
yeah.
to
Oh, got
the
it.
movie and
Like
whatnot.
4D. You get
4D
smell-o-vision.
No smell, but just movement. I don't do those because they're dumb. But the recliners, the only way I see a movie now.
yeah, it's a great experience. Honestly, seeing a movie in the morning would be a great day because it's like I usually spend some time waking
And it's
up.
cheaper.
Oh, I didn't know it was cheaper. But
Yeah,
it makes
matinee
sense.
movies are cheaper.
Yeah. Yep. Life pro tip from Sean.
Pro tip.
Try it out yourselves.
College pro tip. That's what's at.
Yeah, yeah. Because I could see
Also,
myself doing that.
sneak stuff into the movie theater.
Oh, I sneak.
Yeah.
Do that all the time. That's my advice.
I tend not to eat or drink really in the movie theater, you know? I know, Colton, you love the popcorn,
I love
but
the
I do
popcorn.
not
I love
like
the
popcorn.
candy. I love the candy, the
Oh, yeah.
popcorn, the
I-
drink. Man, bunch of crunch.
I've
Yeah, great stuff.
never done that. The last two times I've brought stuff into movie theater, it's been alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And that was only twice that I've ever done that. I've bought a bottle of wine in one time and then like 2 beers another time.
I definitely like
that-
sneaking in flasks. I do that like pretty often. Now.
Oh yeah, I do too. And then did I tell you guys about the one time? It was I think it was Frozen 2, and a bunch of people I knew were like,
Frozen 2?
I didn't know anyone want to see the movie, but like everyone's like, hey, you guys want to go see this? I'm like, you know what? That sounds fun, sure. And a friend of mine, she had like one of those like big long North Face coats, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, like go down to your knees, right? And she snuck an entire fifth in through that.
Oh
And
my
we're just
God.
like- There's like this.
That's next
just
level.
Yeah, just I had like I think it was like a flask, like a cup or something like
I mean,
that. And it was just
if you're
all-
doing that, just do that at home. Like, why would
Just
you need to go to the
pre-game.
movie theater
Yeah.
to do that?
it makes the experience more fun. I definitely had a great time at that time. It was hilarious watching the movie.
drinking-
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
drinking a little bit with a movie is great, but finishing a bottle of wine between two people with a movie is fantastic.
yeah,
This is true.
Yeah,
but I'd
it's-
rather do that at home though. See, like if I'm
mean,
having a bottle of
yeah.
wine, I'm having that at home, curled up on the couch, like you know.
You're so specific with your
But
alcohol.
what you
Snuggling.
just described though is the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, you're so specific. You're like the wine has to
You
be
can't
at home.
snuggle. You can't snuggle in a movie theater. I mean, kind of
You
can
can snuggle
but-
up with some vodka if you want, though. I mean, that's
But
fine.
we're literally just talking about the types of
Little
alcohol,
spoon-
and you're like,
little
oh,
spoon of
vodka?
fifth of
Sure, I'll
vodka.
go to the movie theater. Wine? No.
Mike, you're very like. I feel like you're very particular with that, though. You're like because you're like the beer, the wine, the hard liquor, very different
Oh, no.
experiences.
If I'm going smuggling stuff in a movie theater, I'm smuggling hard stuff in. I mean, that's just a
Why?
given.
It's more fun. The risk is higher.
It's more fun.
Yeah, because it
Higher percent equals more fun.
it gets
you
you
know?
drunk faster. I mean, let's be real.
yeah, yeah.
I'm still trying to watch the movie. Though.
Frozen
yeah,
2,
like,
I don't care.
taking shots.
So I'm,
That's the point. Why want to go to the movie theater?
because it's fun to hang out with a bunch of people and watch a movie while we're all plastered, and then we Uber
Yeah.
back.
I was disappointed in myself when we saw Ready Player One.
Uh huh.
because I was very drunk during that because we had pre-gamed before, and that's the time I brought in 2 more beers, and I don't remember half that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really upset because I wanted to see that movie.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
Darn.
Just watch it on your awesome, screen TV.
I mean, I have since. I've seen it like 1 or 2 times since. But that's the point being, the movie theater experience I'm not going to get back,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Maybe
Well,
I
mean,
guess I enjoy the movie theater for the social experience because I don't really care. I will watch a movie on my phone and be just as happy as watching it in a theater.
Oh, God.
Besides Top Gun Maverick, that one I gotta watch in a theater.
I mean,
like
Top Gun
very-
was a theater movie. Yeah.
It's you gotta watch it in a theater. But for the most part, like a Marvel movie, we watched Infinity War and Endgame in a theater, and that was a pretty awesome experience. That was because I was with you guys. It's the people with there rather than the movie itself.
Yeah.
We're going to have to navigate away from this topic before I lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It depends.
I
I
want to
think-
see Sean lose it.
I recommend smuggling stuff in. You get as drunk as you want. You could decide.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, but
Yeah, kids don't get caught.
kids.
We're
don't
not
get
kids.
caught.
Don't drink.
Don't
but
drink,
like,
kids.
Kids slash. I mean, when I say that, I mean adults like
You
us.
mean legal
adults.
Yeah.
21
that
plus
act like
adults.
kids.
Yeah, exactly. Adults who act like kids just
Don't get caught. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's a fun
back to our I guess OG topic of the free time.
Well, because you're kind of brief on it, Colton. How did your free time change?
So, okay. Sometimes I get lost in thought. I was like getting lost in this thought experiment of just like thinking about how free time has changed. Cause, I, as a kid, I almost wished away time, and I'm sure you guys did this when something exciting was coming out, whether it be a movie, a video game, or Christmas even,
Yeah,
I would be
you wanna
like,
there faster.
I just want time to go faster. It's November 15th and Christmas is a month and a half away. I got the Wii on my Christmas list. I got 3 games and I'm like looking at the computer. I'm just so excited, right? And a lot of my free time was spent, wishing time away sometimes. And I'm so not feeling that way as an adult. I feel like I put a lot of care, and I feel like time is very precious now, where, sometimes I do, I'll take a break, I'll take these video game breaks where it's like good for me to not really think about anything. And like I was saying, I just feel like I should be doing something that's going to be positively impacting my life, or something working towards something where, sometimes
you should be hustling rather than playing
I
video
want to
games.
be working on podcast shorts. I want to be doing podcast stuff. I want to be doing like Japanese language stuff, or like doing something else that's going to advance another skill of mine. And that's what I feel like I should be doing. And that almost the freedom or the mental state where I can just, let's just play video games for 8 hours. I love doing that. Let's just do that. It's just, it's not really a thing anymore. Or I feel very guilty doing something like that nowadays, unless it's with friends, because I think I've talked about this before. Like, my importance on keeping in touch with friends is very high, and we do that a lot with playing video games. So that is not wasted time, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But me doing stuff on my own is where I start to feel like I should be doing something else.
Yeah. Like
I don't
when
know
you
if
play a
that answered
single
your
player
question,
game, you're
Sean.
like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
I feel
like
that.
the same way with like the social situations where sometimes, I like to socialize, but sometimes if I'm not meeting new people, if I'm not trying to form relationships actively, I feel like that is not a good use of my time. Like, there's this weird budgetary system of time that I should spend with the free time allotted that I feel like I need to divvy out. And if I don't do it in a certain way, I feel off balance. Whereas when I was a kid, I didn't care about any of that free time. Even in college, I was very, kind of, I didn't really care too much of how I spent my free time. I liked my major, and I did my major work, and then I just played video games. I didn't really focus on socializing too much in college like I would now, maybe, and trying to form new relationships.
I think that's a great mindset.
I feel like, but like, you don't want to like,
It's the grind mindset.
It's the grind, and I
It's the
kind
grind
of
set.
actively disagree with the grind mindset. In a way, I don't want to be grinding all my life. I want to be doing stuff.
You don't want to be a Sigma male grind set?
Sigma male grind set. I don't know. I feel like I'm not super organized in this topic. You know, I'm kind of rambling it off. You know, when I came to you guys with this topic, it's like, oh, I didn't have all of this like centered, and if so, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
rambling a little bit. But
Oh, it's fine.
it's just like it's changed a lot, and it all goes back to like it was a simpler time, and
It all started with.
I enjoyed the simple times of the very youth, like the kid up to high school time frame. But it just feels like so
Yeah.
much has changed, and I feel like I had to change my mindset to feel like I'm like moving forward in life. I guess
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I mean, I think that's a good mindset to have. I mean, I feel like you can change it. Like I have a fairly simple mindset. Like I'll be honest, I actually really admire your Colton for having that, because it's one thing I struggle with a little bit internally is I feel like sometimes I am like I'll play games or something like that, like especially after work. Like a lot of times during the week, I feel like I'm just kind of spending
Yeah.
time to spend time in a way to like get to the okay, next work day.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just kind of not really doing anything, because like I'm either like, kind of tired from like, at the end of the work day, or I don't know. I just feel like I'm not using
It's-
it as wisely. Like,
Yeah.
as you're saying, growing your skills, right? Like there's definitely things I could be doing to grow my skills.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do some learning on the side as well, like actual in my field.
Right. But that's just hard because you do 8 hours of that a day. And like, I totally get not wanting to do it. Like, I wish I was
Yeah.
coding, like doing software stuff after work. But there's like no way I want to start learning a programming language after work. Like, geez,
But
I
as
want
long
to
as
do other things.
you're working on soft skills though, right? After work, it's not, you don't have to work
Yeah,
on like
like
actual
the-
like hard skills.
The socializing stuff is like soft skills, and I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the podcast, like doing the shorts of the podcast, would be a technical skill, I suppose. It's learning a program or whatever, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's-
also somewhat social too, because you're trying to create a more entertaining version of the podcast in a way, right? You're adding in,
Yeah.
like,
well, that's tough to do.
or yeah, Yeah.
right?
yeah. It's just
No.
interesting how it's changed over time, and
yeah.
sometimes I wish life were simpler, but like it was. Maybe this goes back to like life in general. I'm really happy that life is more complicated. You have more routes, as with the money.
Yeah.
You have more XP to do things, but it was kind of nice not having that, or it was nice having that ignorance and just like, oh, I have so much time on my hands. Like I wasn't thinking about the time ticking and getting older and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Do you sometimes have like analysis paralysis when it comes to that? Like you're like, I could be doing so many things right now
Yeah.
that at this moment I don't feel like doing any of them. Then
I feel
you end
like-
up just falling into your same routine. 'Cause
Yeah, I feel like that
happens to me
happens.
sometimes.
I
Actually,
know-
it happens to me a lot.
For me, so kind of, yeah, I go into that loop for sure. And then I also have, I'm just a guy who kind of likes to daydream sometimes. Do you guys ever have this? Do you guys ever have
Oh
this?
hell yeah, man!
Do you like to just daydream for like 30 minutes to an hour?
Yeah, I mean that's how I go to bed usually. I'll like think about something and like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I daydream in that sense. At least not for that long.
I'm just like spaced
yeah.
out for an hour. Like,
But I actually actually on this topic,
yeah.
I've been it's been happening so much recently where I'll have like a split second 20-second daydream thing about my life in a completely different thing, and in my head I'm like, man, my alternate reality selves are like bleeding over into my current
That sounds
self.
like
It really feels
Yeah.
like that.
That
It
sounds
really
like
feels
a-
like something crazy.
like your
is
parallel
happening.
world is like
Yeah.
intersecting.
Yeah, like it suddenly got too close, and I'm just interfacing with my other self because it's definitely different
Yeah.
from dreams.
Yeah.
Are you getting like it's like a Mandela effect thing, where it's like, wait, this is not right.
It's like having it. To me, the feeling has been as if I'm getting deja vu,
Mm-hmm.
but in the moment, like actively happening.
Yeah, like it's happening, and
It's
you,
so
and you
weird.
realize it. Sounds like a stoner, like you ate an edible or something. It seems
Yeah,
like that's
it does sound like kind of a stoner thing. Yeah.
yeah.
But maybe Sean. That's why Sean doesn't like do anything like that. Is because he's like, I'm already.
If I ever took an edible, I probably would just go to different paralegal.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I feel like this. I feel the same. That's why I don't really do much of that because I'm
I,
already
like,
thinking
physically dip out of this universe.
I'm already thinking like super deep about stuff, and I get way too deep. Like I can automatically go off the deep end real quick on things. So I'm like, I don't need anything like that to like get me into that zone.
Right.
But, yeah. I don't know. It's that's interesting. Yeah. You ever watch The Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
I have
Yeah.
not.
Dude, watch that. It's a great show because I always watch that if I find myself daydreaming and I feel like almost guilty for doing it because like a lot of times daydream is like, well, a lot of times I daydream at least. I don't know about you, Colton. When I daydream, it's usually about specific situations. So I'm like preparing myself for X situations. A lot of times it's like I'm going like literally like crazy situations that could happen.
I used to do that a lot
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
For me, it's usually like crazy situations, so I know I'm prepared.
In high school.
So I don't panic and like oh my gosh, like shit's about to go down, right? Which is like the 1%. A lot of times it's that. Then next thing is like sometimes I'll do like social things, like oh I could do this, like say these things to like evoke this reaction, or like hey, this will really cheer someone up or something like that. Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh,
to
I
think of
see.
a way to explain it, but like I'll like kind of like run through different scenarios in my head, right? That's usually how I daydream, in the moment, or how would I go about explaining this to someone? And
Yeah.
I'll like throw myself in a scenario, almost like it's more of a daydream, because it's like I throw myself in my head of like, here's a scenario I have to walk through. How this person, how would they react in this specific
Yeah.
situation to the best of
Yeah.
my knowledge, right? Because you can't ever truly predict that, right? You're not like Joseph Joestar. You can't like just go your next line is boom boom boom, right?
Boom,
I
boom,
mean,
boom,
you
yeah.
can get pretty accurate with that, but for the most part, people are they'll follow somewhat certain paths, but for the most part,
Yeah.
they're
not
gonna
fully
say exactly.
determined.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that'd be scary if it was.
Yeah, if you
Like,
just
that's
If you ever want to get like a just a burst of like wanderlust, you have to watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
absolutely, yeah. That's why I brought it up. It's like when you feel like you're daydreaming too much, watch that, because it's about a guy who daydreams quite a
What?
bit, and
interesting.
yeah, it's a wonderful movie. I'll watch it at least once a year.
Is it like this?
It's been a while since I watched.
This might
it.
be
I'm not
spoilers.
watching it.
Is this the guy that has like This isn't the guy that has schizophrenia, is it?
Nope,
No. Okay.
No.
he just has maladaptive daydreaming,
Maladaptive David.
meaning that he has a tendency to like kind of. Are you familiar with I was about to say nymphomania. That's totally different. I was fuck, what's the name of it? Where people like fall asleep randomly.
Yeah, that's narcolepsy.
Narcolepsy, thank you. Definitely not nymphomania. It's a totally different thing. No,
Yeah.
narcolepsy, where people. Well, I say that because I knew someone in high school who was both a narcoleptic and a nymphomaniac. That's a whole other story.
Interesting.
But
yeah.
but with that, I feel like people like has like almost like narcolepsy, where it'll just happen in the moment. He'll start just go out into a daydream, and that's kind of how the story starts. And it's really fun. And I always like it's like a check on that. Sometimes I'm like, I can just, instead of just thinking about something and analyzing it, just do it and enjoy the repercussions or the consequences, positive or negative.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that from the topic we were talking about earlier, in terms of
Free time.
like the free time, but also how you guys felt about how you spent your time,
Would have been.
and we know that Colton's on the Sigma grind set.
It's like I
and,
have that
it's-
mentality. Yeah.
To me, and I've always been very beholden to what I find fun, and that's changed over time.
Yeah.
But I'm very much a creature of, I'm not going to do it if it doesn't sound fun, or and for that, I don't know how best to describe that, but if it's not fun, I'm gonna avoid it.
Right.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and if learning, like you're working on your skills, right? If learning that skill is fun to me,
Then
I will do it.
yeah,
But when it stops being fun,
Then
I
you stop it. Yeah.
And that can be problematic, but also at the same time, I've come to terms with it and I enjoy it because to me, if you're not enjoying life, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? Now, there are some things, it's not just necessarily about immediate gratification, right? In terms of my fun. I am very much aware of delayed gratification.
Yeah. Gotta work towards it.
And if it's not fun in the moment, but I know doing something will bring me more fun
Yeah.
later,
Like, yeah.
then I'll do it.
like working
right?
out, like rock.
Like working out.
But
is
you
a
also
great
rock
example.
climb
although
as your
that's
workout.
also fun
Yeah.
in the moment, right?
It's like I like
but I do some workouts that are not rock climbing.
Yeah.
So, but that's to bring about more fun later.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah. So you can do more challenging problems because
Yeah.
you're physically fit to do them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But it also, is the problem of like of the. Well, I mean, hold on, I lost my train of thought there for a sec.
Where you're gonna go down a road of like, what's the point? Even if it is fun.
No, because I don't see things like that.
Yeah.
To me, the point is
Is to have fun.
to have fun, or the point doesn't need to have a point as long as I'm enjoying
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
And I think that's definitely been a guiding post in what I do for the most part.
Yeah.
And that results in like the day to day for me, if I spent the day reading a book, that's not really productive, especially if it's not like a constructive
It's-
book. If it's a
yeah.
sci-fi fantasy novel, it's like
If you're reading
that's
a
not
light
going to
novel.
help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to help me at any point in time.
Unless
in
you
my
get
life.
isekai'd
But-
somehow.
You might.
Then I'm going to be really
Yeah,
prepared.
you'll be ready.
But I enjoy it, so to me, it's not wasted time. And there are things that you have to do you can't just live your life like that. You have to do things that aren't fun. Like taxes. You got to do
taxes.
something.
You don't find taxes
Yeah.
fun. You don't find losing
don't find
20% plus of your income.
Committing tax fraud
So
fun.
so it's not like I spend 100% of my time doing all the things I find fun. It's just the majority of what I do, I base my motivation in. I believe that it will result in me having a good time or enjoyment, or to simplify it, fun. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I feel that.
and yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on the, like, if I'm doing something, like, it's really difficult for me to do something that's not at least like engaging. It doesn't have to be even fun. It has to be like, if it's like mentally challenging, a lot of times I'll go for it too. But physically challenging is not my thing.
I just remember the other part of what I want to say though.
Yeah.
I will do something that's fun, but I will hard stop it at the point that it starts to detriment me.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
For example, I'm having a ton of fun playing a video game, but 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm going to
Yeah,
bed.
you
know,
close it out.
because I will not let that interfere with my life in the next day.
I wish I had that discipline, man, dude. I was playing Factorio up to like 2 or 3 in the morning the other night. It was a work
I
day.
know,
It was
and
like
that's the thing
Tuesday. I'm like, oh, I have to work tomorrow
Tuesday.
morning. But I'm like, I'm so
and that's a
invested
good
in this
example.
problem.
Like the other
Yeah.
day, I was also up really late. I think we were all doing that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a work day for me. And because it's not a work day, I'm like, okay, I can take that extra 2 hours of sleep, but it's always on my mind. It's not something that I forget about and say, oh, whoops, it's 2 a.m. and I have to get to work in 4 hours. Like that does not happen to me, because it's always like I'm prepping myself for the future, or the immediate future at least.
Yeah, or like with like maybe alcohol or something like that, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm gonna have 2 beers and then I'll cut myself off because I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or the reverse is, I'm not working tomorrow, I'll have 1 extra beer.
Yeah.
But
Five.
if I am working, then it's like there's no way.
Yeah.
I'm not risking any sort of hangover at work.
yeah.
and I think that's a huge delineation for me. Is I will put all my free time into doing and having fun, but if it's going to detriment me, especially in the short term, then I won't do it,
Gotcha.
or I'll
That's
cut
good.
myself off.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely have sometimes an issue, like can't cut myself off, or I'm like so ingrained in something, I'm so hyper focused on something that it can
Yeah.
almost become detrimental.
Yeah, I struggle with that. It's like if I'm having fun, I want to prolong it. I want to keep going, even if it does, even if it does mean I'm going to be a little hungover the next day. It's one of those things where it's like, it depends, because if we schedule like playing these video games every week, well, it's like, okay, it's not like we do this once a month and I'm just going to want to prolong it an extra 2 hours or whatever, right? But sometimes it's just fun to just not live life in moderation, go to the extreme, stay up until
Yeah.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
on a weekend or weekday.
I think I just thought of a way that I could view it in that I try to always be having a positive experience, right? But then a moving average of positive experience, because if, for example, I drink too much, right?
Yeah.
It's a negative
in the moment,
experience.
it's a positive experience,
Yeah.
right? But tomorrow morning, it's going to be a negative experience, and that's going to definitely decrease the moving average of the positivity of
Yeah, the positivity index.
the
Yeah.
positivity index is going to drop, right?
Yeah,
But if
absolutely.
I cut myself off, right, it's still moving upwards, because tomorrow morning is going to be fine.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
leaving myself open. And I think that's a kind of a way that I view it in a way.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I mean, subject to change, but
Right.
I just thought of that way to kind of describe what I do.
I feel like we need to, like, balance our mindsets together, because like if we can combine like Sean's fun and moderation, Colton's like drive to be like productive, and I think what I really value in myself is I really enjoy simple things. Like I can really find a lot of enjoyment in just like doing like your everyday things, and like I don't need to have like a crazy complex life. I mean, obviously we love traveling and like
Yeah.
shit, I'll go to Japan or something like that, right? But for the most part, I try to enjoy like the little simple things in my day-to-day life. Like I love going to the grocery store and like shopping, because it's like, it's to like experience things and like, this looks interesting.
This
and
food
maybe
looks
I'll
cool.
spend the $10 or whatever to get this like cool food, or like I'll try this, right? And or like just enjoying like I need to shine my shoes. This is great. It's really relaxing. Yeah, it's funny. I love like sanding or shining shoes. I don't know what it is. There's something about it. It's just like, it's just
Cleaning it,
relaxing.
making it look
It's like
pristine.
the only time I'm like totally like my mind is like 100% like at peace. Honestly though, it's like, I'm just in the moment.
Shining shoes, huh?
Yeah, I'll be a shoe shiner when I'm like 70. I'm like, shining shoes.
You're tired.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. That's
So-
what I try to do.
You guys, I'm assuming you all feel like you have less free time in general, right? Like from college,
Oh,
from
yeah.
like high school. Do you guys all feel like you have less free time in general? Like I feel like most people feel that way, but do you guys feel that way?
I definitely have less free time. Well, I don't know. I feel like I have more free time than I did in college, but less than I did as a kid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because especially in college, right? You went to class, right? Which probably was less than a 40-hour work week.
Right.
Absolutely.
I don't know if what's like a 20 to 30-hour work week, let's say. Mm-hmm. But then you also had homework on top of that,
Right.
Which was, that can add up depending on your classes.
Right.
But nowadays, I've work, and I don't work outside of work. So while it's a 40-hour work week, the rest of it is then my time. And because I don't have a long commute, it feels like I have more free time. It's just I then have to do things within that free time, which is not free, like I described earlier, like cooking and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I do have a lot of more free time, slightly more free time than I did in college.
Honestly, I love the 40-hour work week. Like just like the 8 to 5, you got your 1 hour lunch or whatever. I love that because I don't have to think about work outside of that, right? Whereas in like school, right, I had to think about, do I have a test coming up? Do I have like
Yeah.
homework,
Yeah.
stuff like that? I don't have to, when I'm working, I'm in work mode I can, work. It's like compartmentalize. I can compartmentalize that portion of my brain into like work mode. And at 5 o'clock rolls around, unless I have to do like, sometimes I'll have to do something after hours. Like, in IT, you have to do like, reboots or upgrades or something like that after hours. But
Sure.
for 95% of the time, 99% of the time, I'm just working between those times.
Don't get me wrong. I'd much prefer a shorter work week, like
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
30-hour work week
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
ideal. I think.
Yeah.
I think I have 10 hours of free time in my 40-hour work week. If I shorten that to 10 hours, and I'd be 100% productive, and then I have another like day and a half
Yeah.
for me to do what I want to do, that'd be ideal. But we're doing what we're doing now.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless we move to Sweden, I don't think it's about to change.
Yeah, or I think like Germany's like 35 or something like that.
Oh,
Czech
sick.
Republic, I don't know, Czech Republic's 40.
That's why you want a trusting work from home situation, because I don't know, my current job, if you got all your shit done in 30 hours and then you just maybe want, 2 p.m., you got all your work done, maybe I'll just play some video games or whatever. You probably could. No one would really question you.
I worked from home the other day because my car was in the shop,
Oh, okay.
and I was like, "Hey, they're not going to have it done end of the day. Can I work from home tomorrow?" Boss was like, "Sure." This is the best thing ever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you
Isn't
don't have to. It's I next job is going to be work from home. Definitely.
I still like the office. I think we've talked about this. I think
Yeah.
almost ad infinitum now is I like the hybrid experience because I like going to the office, and I'm a very face to face person. So especially like with Teams, my company just doesn't do faces on Teams calls unless it's like sometimes executives do it, but for
Yeah.
the most part it's just like everyone's just a voice with no face.
A voice with
But-
two
Yeah.
initials. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I move, so right now, like I don't know too many people in my city, let's say, or I know some people, but I don't like hang out as often as maybe I would normally. So I get a lot of socialization at work, right? But if let's say I move to the same city that Colton's in, and there's a couple other people I know
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
If I'm hanging out with them once a week, every other week, I don't need to talk to anybody at work. That handles like all that I need for socialization.
That's the
This
dangerous
introvert
thing.
here.
Yeah, well, that's the dangerous thing for me too. It's like I don't have work friends yet, and I want to make work friends. I don't have like close work friends, but
What's a work friend? Can you define that?
a work friend is just, I feel like a good work friend is someone that you would hang out outside of work with.
Because I know Michael, you go get drinks with your coworkers and such.
Oh, not
Yeah.
as much. They actually, that person had left, but yeah, before, like, he's like around he's 24, so it's like
I
just
don't
like go out.
think
Yeah,
I don't think there's anybody from work that I've hung out with outside of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I want to have that because I actually think that's pretty healthy for your job. I mean,
absolutely.
I think, it's great if you have a good social calendar and social life outside of work, but you're there 8 hours a day. It'd at least be nice to have someone you could like ask to go out and get a beer with on Friday, every other Friday or something. And I think that would really
Yeah.
enhance the experience if you had like good friends at work. It's not like needed. But I don't know, since I've been work
Interesting.
from home, have friends outside of work, I've not really been trying just because I haven't really felt the need yet, I guess. But it's good to have. And if you did do hybrid / were forced to go into the office every day, you would naturally be forced. You would get that, you would eventually
Yeah.
get those relationships.
I think my problem is with that is I don't like to even think about work when I'm not at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I hung out with someone from work outside of work, I'd be thinking about work, and therefore I don't.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's a big border, right? Is like when I hung out with people after work, right? And I still do hang out with this person, just not after work because he doesn't work there anymore. Usually it's weekend stuff, but you don't talk about work at all. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
like you have to
try
remember to compartmentalize it after 5 o'clock. You do not talk about work unless you want to complain about. Sometimes we'll complain about shit, like, oh, this person was such a pain in the ass sometimes, right?
Yeah. And that's
but for
like,
the most
all
part,
right.
yeah, you don't complain. You don't talk about like actually work problems or like that stuff. You just
Yeah.
talk about random like life shit or
Yeah.
whatever,
That's like,
or watch golf on the TV.
that's one thing where it's like a couple of the jobs I was, there's a couple of the people I know that work in jobs. Like if I were to get work friends there, people would have talked about their job like all the time. And I know people who work at like SpaceX and all they do out of work is talk about work. And they love their job.
Yes, I
And that's great, but yeah, my mentality, I don't even talk to work that much with Carly. It's like I'm not in work. I don't really talk about my day. It was a day, good things happen,
Yeah.
good bad things
that's
happen.
How it should. That's how I think how
And
it should be, because
it's like
unless it's a real shit day and you really need to vent,
Yeah.
for the most part,
Yeah.
like it's a good thing that you don't have to vent about your day all the time, because that means
Yeah.
you're not bringing work home. You're not bringing work problems home.
yeah. Carly
I
loves
think
to,
that's a huge, yeah.
right. I was saying Carly loves to talk about work because I think she likes it. It's like a bigger part of her life. Like she's trying to advance and Sigma grind her way through her career. So it's a much bigger talking point. So when she's always like, I like don't even know what you do at work all the time, and I'm just like, I don't like.
It's like, I don't know what I do at work.
It's like, yeah. I just don't really care that much. I like my job and I like the people I work with, and sometimes I get something done really well, and sometimes I have bad days, but I just don't really care that much enough to kind of even talk about it. And it's not like saying like, oh, I'm keeping my work away.
I
from
would definitely
Carly.
agree.
But yeah, it's just like, it was a day. I enjoyed the day, but it's not like I'd rather be doing whatever I'm doing at home and not thinking about the day. Like I'd rather be doing the video games, the other stuff. That's how I think
I
about
have the
it.
exact same thing. Like
Same.
my parents or my mom will ask like, "Hey, how was work today?" I'm like, "Oh, it was work." Like
yeah.
And there will be times when I'm at work and I'll do something that I'm either proud of or happy I did it in some way, or like I'm glad that I achieved this success.
Mm-hmm.
All of that though like pales in comparison usually to anything else.
Whatever
that
you're
I
trying to
do
do after work. Yeah. So
And it's weird.
it's
I
weird.
think.
I mean, a lot of people just don't think of it that way. But no matter which way you think about it is fine. But I just think it goes down to my core concept of no matter what job you work, there's probably something else outside of work that you could be doing that would really benefit
Yeah.
you. So, and that's just how I
and
think
your job
about it.
shouldn't be the most meaningful thing you do. I
Yeah,
feel like
your job
that-
shouldn't
it should be
define
part
you.
of it.
Yeah, like you should be happy.
I think it also though depends on what the nature of your work is and how relatable your work is,
Mm-hmm.
right? My job is not relatable at all. Nobody can understand my job.
Unless they work in the same field. So when Sean and I talk
Right.
together, it's like, okay, I understand exactly what you're talking about, but
yeah, so I could tell Michael, oh, I did this thing, and he'd be like, oh, that's cool, because he understands the implication.
yeah.
But no one else does. So then I get into the mindset of, well, what's the point? And talk. Someone can ask, oh, what'd you do today? And I just would look at them and go, you don't understand.
Yeah, I
Not in a pretentious
stabilized
way.
the
I
quantum
just
field
think
generator.
You just won't understand
I
it,
had to. I'm trying to throw random words out there. Stabilize the quantum field generator.
Technobabble.
Yeah.
You can really dumb it down too. You can be like, oh, I stabilized this program that helped blah 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 people. But I don't know, like I've tried sometimes.
But if I do that though, it's not as fulfilling to me to say it like that.
oh yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
okay, yeah,
Like there's I don't know how you would describe this, but you tell people about stuff to like your accomplishments, right, to be recognized.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Would you agree with this?
yeah. I mean,
And if I've accomplished something that's technical, chances are, if the other person is not well versed in that technical aspect, they won't have the same appreciation for the thing you've done.
right? Or it'll just be gibberish.
You know?
like you did this at this program, and they're like, what does that even?
They would
do?
understand. They would understand. Yes, Colton is excited about this.
Yeah, yeah,
I am excited that he's excited about that, and sometimes that's enough for people.
yeah,
Right. But I think if I'm at least personally, if I'm going to talk about an achievement that I've done, then I want them to understand the full implications of it.
Right.
You know, otherwise it's not as meaningful to me.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a vain thing or an oddity, but I don't care.
think it's an oddity.
That's,
I think
that's
it's
how I
totally
feel.
normal. I mean, it's hard for people to understand that, especially since we're working in more technical fields like that have a decent barrier to
specialized
entry,
field,
a specialized field
I
that
would
has
say.
decent barrier to entry, right? Like, what was it? I was talking with a chef, couple about a month ago or so, and
Mm-hmm.
we were like talking about that. Like, I like home cooking, so I can understand that, but obviously she was like doing much more like stuff.
Yeah,
She's
it's like a
talking about,
different level of
she's talking about,
understanding,
like,
you know?
deconstructing a paella. I'm like, I understand
Like,
what
oh.
paella is, but I'm like, this is
But
like next
deconstructing.
level. I'm like, cool, and you can explain it to me, but there's like this natural baseline, right? I know what paella is because paella is delicious. So it's like, okay, I get your deconstructs paella. I can have an appreciation for that. But if I start talking like technical jargon, then it's just like, especially someone who's a chef who has nothing technical, it's like brick wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's also then interest based too, because generally, I mean, you'd hope you work in a field that you're interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, I
it's
love my
tough
job.
to then understand other fields if you're not as interested in them, you know?
Yeah.
It's
And
so.
Yeah,
Oh,
and there's
go
like
ahead,
this collective conscious thing, right? Mm-hmm. With the technical fields, we're all in technical. You need that strong baseline understanding, whereas something more like, where there's a higher barrier for understanding than something like, I can really appreciate what a chef does because I understand good cooking. You know, go to restaurants, stuff like that, and you can watch a chef or be a chef yourself, like just at home, right? But when you get to like the nth level, it's like, oh, this is a high level
Yeah.
of just this fairly straightforward skill, just to
Yeah.
like the nth degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
It's interesting because actually, I feel like I did a reversal. In college, when I was doing engineering in my degree, I felt like I talked a lot about engineering. And I was, I was really into it, super into it. And I loved like learning the new stuff and all the classes. I guess I didn't talk to Carly about it a lot. I wasn't like, oh, I got this grade on this
And
exam,
also,
blah, 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 blah.
yeah. And she was engineering adjacent as
She
well
was.
as most of your friends were also in engineering.
Yeah, yeah. But now it's just like I don't have the need. It's not like I don't like my job. Albeit, I honestly I didn't like the actual real world engineering as much as technical engineering in school. I enjoyed, weirdly and maybe like strangely enough, I liked the homework and stuff, doing that stuff. But actual engineering is much more full of red tape and less technical and more paperwork, which I really don't like.
That's every job.
I mean, yeah. But I don't know. When I went to my first job out of college, I did not like engineering much at all. I thought that I was like winning it. I was like, this is going to be amazing. This is exactly what I want to do. This is exactly the type of company I want to work for. And I came out of it like loving engineering to just being like, oh gosh, that was the job. I'm really glad I left the job. Hopefully no one from my the job I worked with just had such little impact on my life that even though I've left it, it wasn't a bad job. It was, and by all intents and purposes, had great benefits, great pay, all this good stuff, great technical opportunity and everything. But I am so indifferent to leaving that job to where I am now. I often think
Yeah.
back and I am just like, I do not give a rat's ass on like the fact that I spent like 3 years of my career there. So weirdly enough. Does that make sense? Like I do not, I feel like maybe you guys would feel the
I
same.
think it makes sense.
I just don't
I
care.
don't think that's a bad thing.
There's a lot of people who would leave their job and be like, man, the good times I had working for X company, or we did this and this was such a good time. It's like nostalgic. I am in no way nostalgic for my old job. I mean, I'm nostalgic for like where I lived and like the friends I had while I was working the job,
I would completely
but
agree.
not the job itself, which is just so telling. It probably just means I made a good decision in leaving the company and going
Yeah.
to a different one. No
That's
offense to
also a
anyone at that
healthy
company.
mindset. I
Yeah.
feel like, because I mean, it's good to like, again, I really like where I'm at right now. I enjoy what I do and everything, but you shouldn't have, I feel like it really worries me when people's jobs define their lives,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I don't look for that. I'm glad that is something that's changing. I feel like it's a very millennial, like previous generation type mindset that I think can be both positive because it really pushes people to like improve and enjoy the skills. But at the same time, when your job defines your life, you're not devoting time to other things to improve like your life. And I feel like people get really depressed doing that. I know that
Yeah.
when I was only
Well-
focused on like school or stuff like that, I was pretty depressed. But now I'm like,
You have all these other things.
doing my thing.
Yeah.
Also, the schedule, the routine of it is kind of nice. But for the most part, yeah, I'm so much happier now that I can enjoy the simple things and just enjoy life in general rather than, worrying about the, improving in this skill set or something like that.
Well, I was definitely the same as Colton in the sense that I have not felt a problem leaving any of my previous jobs, and I don't think you ever should. And I think, like, for example, if a better opportunity came around for me right now, I'd leave my current job in a heartbeat. Like it really just is about what's best for you. And I think a lot of people tend to, it's interesting actually for how much of an individualistic society America is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point.
People will get stuck in their job because they think it's for the, I'm part of a group and a community and trying to improve something or work towards a goal. And to be fair, humans, I think, are like that. They want to be part of a group that achieves something together. But I think people get stuck in that and don't consider what's best for themselves as much.
And usually leaving, usually have a good opportunity, right? Especially if you can like solidify it. Like, hey, you got the job offer, boom. A lot of times it's pretty good opportunity because you have the option of like adjusting it, right? Now we are, I think, taking this from a matter of, I guess, in a privileged way because we're all in this STEM area.
We have the
right?
ability
Where
to kind of leave and do
we're
what
all
we
in
want.
areas where there's negative unemployment, like where there's more jobs than people to fill them, which is a really good place to be in. I want to actually, this is a great kind of like thing I think we should talk about with someone who isn't or has the opposite mindset. I'd love to have like not so much a debate, but just a discussion on this because we are unfortunately almost all in agreement on this, right? That the job is you try to benefit yourself. I want to find someone who's like, of the different mindset of, hey, I'm, because there's not, it'd be hard our generation because there's no one of like this is the 30-year career mindset anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, like my mom, like she worked at her place for 30 years before she retired. And you're like, that's just unheard of anymore. At the same place.
Cannot imagine. My mom worked at the same place for 24 years and then started working at another place. And that was a huge shock for her.
Yeah, big change.
I mean, she chose to leave, right? And proceed, and because a better opportunity had come along, and she was thinking about, and she didn't exactly enjoy her workplace anymore. So but it's still tough. It was very tough for her to change that because it's so used to that after 20 something years.
It's like almost as long as I've been alive. It's like completely unfathomable for me to like think about that.
But yeah, to me, I mean, I've had a new job every year, and and since I've been out of college, and this is the first job that I'm going to be at, or I'm going to be there for more than a year.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to think that there's no question in my mind that I will not be at my current job in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And
no one from your job listens to this.
And like how short of that time is, who knows, right? It really is depending on several factors that change over time. So that's just an interesting thing to me to stay in a job for so long. But at the same time, I do understand, or at least I think I understand the perspective of somebody who would stay at the same job. And I think it comes down to mindset too. And, it's everything's working out. Why would I need to change it?
I mean, like if you've got, in a way, I wish I had a little bit more attachment to my job due to like a work culture, family, and just a job. I was saying I was completely indifferent about my previous job. I want a job where if I leave, it's like nostalgic to think about those times again.
Yeah.
I want that. I don't want a complete emotional detachment. It's not like I want to work 80-hour weeks because of this product or whatever, but I
Yeah.
kind of want that. I want to have that kind of thing where I look back to that job and I was like, oh, that was a cool job. There were some cool things we did. I had some friends there. We all hung out. It was a great time.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a job like that either. All of my internships and my previous jobs, I was like, either thank God I'm gone or completely indifferent to being gone now.
Yeah.
I think a huge distinction that none of us have, and that's kind of why we're all in agreement right now, but a huge distinction none of us have is none of us have any major responsibilities. And the most major of these being kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of us have kids. Therefore, we can kind of do whatever, right? None of us have parents that have major health issues that we're taking care of, you know? So we can kind of go and do anything and take risks, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a solid family and you have a job that pays the bills and you're raising kids, you know, you're not going to want to move jobs or take a risk because you have to provide for your family.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge distinction and advantage that we have over
my
people that
dad,
might.
you know, even when I was younger, my dad would switch between jobs quite, you know, every couple of years, switch, okay, new job, it's better pay or something like that.
But I don't think that's common. You know,
yeah,
I think that's an exception.
Yeah, I think that is uncommon as well because my dad kind of did that too. But yeah, I didn't talk to kids at my school, and I was very atypical for coming from that.
Well, you're also
background.
atypical because you literally moved everywhere, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
only like you lived
But-
in a lot of different places. I stayed in the same area, but that's because, like, that was just where I went to
Yeah.
the school. The school is where my mom lived,
Yeah,
and like, so I didn't have, like, even though my dad would go, like, he's living in this area now or whatever, right? Moving across the state, across the country. And yeah, that is actually pretty atypical, but yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I guess I want to find
just think
someone
that's
our
the
age.
other perspective I think that
Yeah.
we wouldn't have.
Yeah, I would like to find someone our age though who has the quote unquote traditional mindset of, this is my job and I want to stay here for a while and stuff.
yeah.
like that.
It's interesting because I
Well,
'Cause
You-
we're
and you
viewing
might
this in
not
a very
get that.
transactional way, right?
Yeah.
We're all in agreement. This is jobs are a transactional relationship. You try to get like benefits, like, I enjoy the people I work with. That's a great positive, right? But it's a benefit, and if any of that like changes where like the costs or the cons outweigh the pros, it's probably going to be like, all right, time to cut off, and something changes in my life, like I want to move somewhere else. It's just it is what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'll enjoy, as you said, the nostalgia of being there. It's like, hey, this is a great time, a great job that I'm glad I had, but I need to move on with my life, kind of thing, right? It's much more versus this is my life centers around this and my job. I feel like that. I just want to talk to someone who has that mindset because,
yeah.
or especially of our generation, who
Yeah,
has that.
and I know a couple people who are in like a job for the long haul. It seems, who have been to their job for 4 or 5 years, and that's not a long time, I guess. But all the people that I know are kind of like they feel stuck. It's not because they really enjoy it; it's because they feel like that's the only real. They have a career going. They're working crazy hours, and they feel kind of stuck, which is another interesting topic that I
Yeah.
feel like we cannot relate to. I can't relate to it, at least. It's like you're
Yeah.
stuck. Just
Yeah.
go somewhere else. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can.
That same job probably exists elsewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can kind of relate to it because there's always the grass is greener effect with a new job, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't know exactly. Like for me, it's almost in a negative because I'm like, okay, do I want to like move to a new job even though I know the variables that I'm dealing with here in this job, right? I can know them. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. I have control, but I have semi control of them, right? New job,
Yeah.
it's totally new. It's change, right? So I think maybe it's just about accepting change. Like people who are much more like, hey, I
Yeah.
don't like a lot of change, don't like a lot
Yeah.
of variation, right, with a new job.
And I was going to say along with that is we're also different in the sense that of how independent we are. I mean, 2 of the 3 of us here have moved and are living in different states from where we were born. And Michael, you're intending to leave that your state.
Yeah, and I've also moved like multiple cities I was still within the state,
Yeah.
but like just moved around. And
yeah.
it's-
But a lot of people would not want to do that. They'd want to stay near their family. They want to stay in their where they were born. You know,
Tons of people like that.
and that's pretty common.
Yeah.
That's very common. The majority of people would do that. So it's just another thing we have that sets our mindsets differently and makes it harder to understand the other mindset. Even though it's totally normal, you know, if anything, we're the abnormal people for
Yeah,
doing what we
I would
do.
think so. Yeah, there's a lot of people who
Absolutely.
stay stuck, especially people who, you know,
And while we view that as stuck, a lot of people might view that as just
Yeah, it's safe.
you know,
or
content.
secure.
content,
You know, and-
happy.
and,
Yeah,
you know,
they like where they're at. They're staying there. Where they look at us and they're like they're searching for something out there and they're
Yeah.
not finding it, so they keep moving
Yeah.
or something like that.
And for me, it's like it feels like a cage, right? Like I feel like you know, I got a job offer recently for actually more money, back in my hometown, and I'm like, I could do that, but honestly, I don't want to do that because I feel like I'd just be like going back to square one, right? I want to keep moving, keep expanding my horizons versus like going back to my hometown that I've been in.
Yeah.
I grew up there. I've lived there all my life. Why would I don't, I guess, spend the rest of my life there? I feel like that's like the feeling I'd get. I was like, I'm trapped here.
I would, like, for example, I would, if I got a job offer in my hometown, right? I would move back there, but it would have to be a substantially good offer, you know?
Yeah.
That's because you're from California, so of course it's gonna be substantially.
yeah,
good
they're
offer.
gonna have to double
Yeah.
that salary. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and not just because you know, living costs, but also I would still want to be out and at different places, so I need the money to travel.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I
More so than I would if I was here because I'm in a different location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
On the plus side, California is a lot easier to travel from.
you can
Yeah,
go a lot of
that's true.
places from LAX if you live near
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
So yeah,
But I do understand. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want to go back to my hometown because, like, I've done that. Check, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
check
check.
that
You're
off
done.
the list. Yeah.
yeah. What to see? I'm curious on where I'll be. It's weird because it's like 10 years from now. I don't know if I'll be in this state. I don't know if I'll be in this job. I don't know if I'll.
Who knows if you'll be in the United States?
Who
right?
knows? I'll be in the United States. Yeah, I mean that'd be
Yeah.
kind of a dream come true to be able to live abroad for a couple years. But you know, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I might not even be in engineering. Who knows? Like, the more I work in engineering, sometimes,
Right.
the more I'm like, or on a technical field, maybe, I'm just like, do I want to just not do technical stuff in 10 years? That might be a thing. That
Dude.
might be.
The beauty of an engineering degree is you can basically do anything.
That's the great thing. It's my biggest advice for all of engineers, like for all just people going to college, is like, it's kind of nice to think of, like, we can all think of our careers or degrees as backup plans if something else were to come along. Like if there's an opportunity that's completely out of your field that comes out, you can take that risk and it might fall through. You can just fall back on your STEM degree and it's like, cool.
Yeah.
It's like
Honestly,
a good backup plan at its
yeah.
worst,
like
kind of thing.
Engineering. My dad always gave me the advice like, dude, just get an engineering degree. You can do anything you want after that because
Yeah.
it's engineering. It's like, yeah, backup plan. And you know, I like that. I love the field I'm in though, so I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna stick
I mean,
with it.
your fields
But-
are the same way, in my opinion. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's super. There's more jobs than
Everyone
they can
needs
fill.
IT.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yep. Yeah, as long as computers are around, there's going to be people who need to fix them.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure everything talks to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've definitely thought though of just, you know, if I don't want to do IT anymore, just doing something
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
Or I would love to. I think the cool thing would do something else and then have IT as like my hustle because you can just consult,
your
right?
hustle,
I think
like could flop it. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
because you know, especially as a like maybe this is maybe later down the line, especially like retired man. If I've got
Yeah.
to the point where I can do consulting as retired, like that's kind of like my like 50-year or whatever plan you want to say about it right down the road. He's like maybe just I can do whatever I want, live in the mountains, go traveling, right? But hey, I need to do you know I wanted to consult somewhere. I'll take a gig and then just do that. I think that's like
that for a little
I think
bit,
that's the
yeah.
ideal life because that's that like I always try to go for more freedom for myself, give more I don't need power over other people.
Yeah.
I don't need to, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
hyper controlling. I can be a bit controlling, but
Right.
I don't need power. I just want to have the ability to do what I want to do and not have
Yeah.
to play by anyone else's rules.
Yeah,
Outside
I
the
would.
laws of the land.
I would
That's
love
about
to
it.
be able to be my own boss slash whether that's in a consulting gig or like self-employed, like start my own business kind of thing. That would be like that's like with our degrees, we can take those risks. Whatever opportunity that may make that arise comes along. I feel like that's like what I want to work towards. Like figure out a way to become self-employed or be my own business, whatever that may be. Try it. If it doesn't work, just go back to engineering. If it does work, great. It's like way better.
I like how we started off at like free time, and now it's like,
Yeah,
just,
we-
here's job advice. Here's
Yeah.
job advice for our listeners.
We-
just get an engineering degree, slog through the 4 years of engineering. It can be rough, or like anything in STEM, right? IT is also a great one.
Yeah,
For
STEM.
most IT, you don't even need a degree; just need like a 2-year associates. And
I do think though this is a very narrow perspective.
It is a narrow perspective.
We have such similar interests,
Yeah.
you know. But
honestly,
there's
my,
so many
my
people
real
that
advice though
can do
is
whatever.
become like a plumber or a
Don't even go to
electrician
college.
because
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Trade
no,
school?
dude, trade school you make
money.
You make more money than like a lawyer in a lot of cases.
I mean, I don't know about that. Are you
You just be working. You do more physical
I know
work.
It's-
It's
yeah.
a trade off.
Lawyers are making like can make $200K out of college as a starting job.
That's a really high end, like for like a
Corporate
like a
law. If you do
corporate
corporate
like
law.
high end corporate law, like mergers and acquisitions. Hell yeah, you're making a lot. But for like your standard lawyers, they don't make a crazy amount of money. I think the main thing is like with a plumber, right? Everyone needs plumbers.
Yeah, I
everyone's
mean,
gonna need plumbers still.
And you can be your own boss that way too when you get that experience. so.
Everyone need mechanics.
yeah,
Yep.
everyone needs mechanics, and it's a pretty
Although
straightforward degree.
mechanics is going to be interesting in the next 20 years as
Robots.
the hybrid and electric cars become more so.
And more, there's
I
more
wonder how that's gonna
software oriented stuff.
Yeah, software, and it's more like there's less. If on an electric car, there's no engine.
Yeah.
You don't need to diagnose an engine. You need to diagnose a software failure
Yeah.
or
An electric motor.
Something
Might
like
be like
that.
trade
Yeah.
software, trade software folks or something like that. Like people who can code really well or like dig through code. Interestingly, but you don't need a
Yeah.
full degree to do that or something. That could be an interesting
Yeah.
change in the next like 20 years. Yeah. So
But that's just like one trade. I mean,
yeah, there's so many. So, all right, boys. Well, we have derailed from the free time thing a little bit, but that's what I want. I just want to like have that be our
I
starting.
think we
our
covered
starting
free time
bricks.
fairly well. Like
Yeah, yeah.
what we like to do, right?
Yeah, no, it was
Again,
meant to be a starting point, and I wanted to
discussions
see
are-
where it went, and I'm happy of where it
It
went.
was a good topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So with that though, I'm going to end it here because we're getting a little late here. So thank you everyone for watching this episode of Almost a Podcast. Are we on episode 56, Sean? Are we at 56?
56.
Yeah. So feel free to give us a like, give us a follow, comment, post. TikTok, we're on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. We love all the interactions there, and we will hopefully one day get there. We will hopefully spend our free time well. So with that, I will send it off, my lads. Take it easy.
Peace.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.